Good morning. Do you know the meaning of the acronym MILF? MILF. Well, I am sure you do. If you don't, I will be so very happy to remind you of it. It is Mothers I'd Love to Frack. And the reason this comes into play today is because we went, and this may not even matter to you, but I need to share it because I've already started. We went to watch the Matrix new film last night, and halfway through the movie, let me put this phrase on the screen so that I can set it up. Hold on. The way they translated MILF in the subtitles was absolutely funny. Da 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 da. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Not that I know that you care. The way the movie theater translated MILF in the subtitles, they called mothers I'd like to bleep maduritas deliciosas, which roughly translates to delicious delicious little mature women. So we thought it was funny. So if you happen to go out and watch the Netflix new movie here in Mexico, and your film, you'll probably choose to watch it subtitled, and you will if you pay attention. Once they get to the word MILF, you will see on your screen that in Mexico, MILFs are maduritas deliciosas, or delicious mature women. Now, how's that for really relevant information coming to you from Coffee and Headlines this morning, 29th of December? Sorry to start with a different bang today, but you have to, especially after yesterday. Have we recovered from yesterday's news and headlines? I hope we have, because we received a lot of correspondence about our headlines from yesterday. Most of it was very supportive. There were a couple of people who just don't believe in the news, and they were very shocked about our announcements from yesterday. All I can say is this is the way things are done in Mexico. We have fun with the news one day a year. And for that very, very adorable person that said to me, we would never do something like that in the United States. Well, I kept thinking about that one day a year in which the United States ditches science and trusts the weather to a groundhog. But hey, that happens in different countries. Here we don't have, I don't even know if we have groundhogs in Mexico. But let's not go there. Let us go to the news. But before we go to the news, let us say good morning. Good morning and happy 29th. Tomorrow is the 30th. Tomorrow is the big concert here in Puerto Vallarta. I have some interesting news to share with you about that. And then the year is going to be over. Can you believe that? Well, I have news to share about how the rest of the year is going to go. But before we share those, as always, if you are new to the broadcast, feel free to let us know by adding the word new to your comment. That way, we will give you an awesome welcome. And of course, if you have something really important you need to share with us, we appreciate if we get a cue right at the beginning of the comment. That way, we can put it apart from all the other stuff that is going on. Um, Including, and we will include a couple of things that don't have cues, but that's just what we do. So, news. Let's go to the news. Yes. So last week, Puerto Vallarta disembarkment, refused passengers from disembarking from two cruise ships due to the fact that there were active COVID-19 cases among passengers or crew. Now, Mexico's federal government has stepped in to approve the reception of such cruise ships due to the international sanitary mandates agreed upon with the World Health Organization. The mandate indicates that asymptomatic people can enjoy tourism activities provided that they follow the basic mandate of properly using a face mask and frequently washing their hands with soap and water. People with mild symptoms will be maintained in preventive quarantine, and serious COVID cases can be attended in the hospitals in the city that the cruise ship happens to be docked in. Our governor, Enrique Alfaro, tells a slightly different story in an article published the day before. And it's always difficult to tell which statement came first when the news comes from different sources. Governor Alfaro stated that no modifications will be made in the arrival protocols for cruise ships with active COVID-19 cases. More specifically, he said these are measures that were established some time ago by the state's health board. Puerto Vallarta may be in a stable place with low numbers, but our guidelines have not changed. So, who's stepping on whose boundaries? Hard to tell. Fortunately, as long as we are holding on to our mandates that we know so well, the odds that we will be personally affected by these decisions are very, very slim. Moving right along to other news. Yes, this is important. Where did my headlines go? Here they are. According to government authorities, there is no single case of Omicron in the state of Jalisco as of this past Thursday. But this has not stopped our state from getting ready for the variant's arrival. The article does not tell us how the state is getting ready, but at least we know, as comforting as it can be, that the state is getting ready for Omicron. How comforting is that? I'm not sure. Anyhow, Health Undersecretary Hugo Lopez-Gatell affirmed that Mexico is not contemplating COVID-19 vaccines for children younger than 15 years of age, adding that the World Health Organization has not advised vaccinating children for starters. I also want to let you know that if it starts to feel crowded out there, if you see an increase in vehicular traffic around the city or a lot of people, well, that's because tourists keep arriving, and there will be more tourists arriving in the next 3 days, according to Carolina Langarica, who is the manager of Vallarta Plus, one of the bus companies that offers the Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta route. They have increased a number of bus units in anticipation of these increases. Meanwhile, Reporte Diario tells us that our beaches are packed with tons of people out there. I don't know how you feel about that. I am actually happy that some people are able to take a vacation, and like many locals, I choose to relinquish, the bounties of our destination to those people that are here to enjoy it for a few days and choose to stay home for the most part. I've had to take a couple of Ubers in the last 2 or 3 days, and I've asked the Ubers, knowing that it can be a very, very lucrative date New Year's for Uber drivers. I've asked the Uber drivers, so are you out there to make money or are you staying home with your family? And quite surprisingly, I heard from a number of tourists and not a number of Uber drivers and a number of local friends that people are choosing to stay home. So it's not surprising sometimes when we try to find a ride home on New Year's Eve and we cannot find a taxi. Well, it might be a good idea this year to just stay close to home and just let the city flow with its usual tourism hustle and bustle, and to just enjoy the celebrations with our family and friends at home. I know that I'm going to have an early dinner, and if all goes well, I'll be home by 9 o'clock in the evening, just chilling at home. What are your plans for New Year's Eve? Feel free to let us know in your comments, and we will read your comments after we go to the weather. Boba Fett has a new movie out on Disney Plus. So, Snarky Weather says, when I hire Boba Fett to track down a bounty, I always tell him to disintegrate as many sentient beings as possible. He should get to have fun too. Okay. I guess I need to get caught up on this franchise. Anyhow, it's 24 degrees right now. It feels like 27. There is a 2% chance of rain, and we have to remember the cabañuelas. Cabañuelas are those sporadic rain showers that we usually get around this time of year. Why they're called cabañuelas, I can actually look this up and let you know. But yes, there is a chance it could rain. And last night I was out and about and I felt a little bit of a drizzle. Anyhow, humidity is high again, as it was last night. Walking home, I was schwitzing even though it was cool. Humidity is at 82% right now, and we have a 75-degree Fahrenheit reading. And now let's look at our weather forecast. We see that today is going to be clear throughout the day. High temperature of 28, low temperature of 17. Tomorrow, Thursday, high temperature of 27, low temperature 15 with another clear day. And Friday, partly cloudy through the day. It's going to be a high temperature of 27 and a low temperature of 16. Boy, is that a good question, Suzanne Swallow McMillan. Is it rude to tell people to wear a mask? Less people in Centro wearing masks. I am very uncomfortable going down there now. I will be so very glad to give you my answer to that question in a little while, although other members of the cluster may feel differently. It'll be interesting to see who thinks it's rude and who thinks it's not rude. And by that question, I assume you are mentioning people that you don't know. Because in my book, telling people that I know, and then in places where it makes me uncomfortable, I would definitely say that to my friends. But we'll get to that in a second. Let me come back to the headlines very quickly, just to remind you that this January 1st, you may want to hold on to your Kirkland champagne and wine bottles for an extra day, and because there will be no trash collection going on January 1st. I also want to read a little bit of correspondence that I got from one of our viewers, Mark, who had a wonderful idea that is not a new idea, but it's an idea that I like to mention over and over again. Mark, because it's a great idea. Mark says, hope I'm not overstepping here, but I had a thought the other day when it was your anniversary here and the cluster responded to it. I thought it might be interesting if you were to interview one cluster member who lives here and find out what they did for a living, where and what made them decide to move here permanently. You could interview them at a coffee shop or a place of your choosing, and once a week play the interview. I realize that it may be too much work for your schedule, but it seems like we have some pretty interesting people in the cluster. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Be well. Well, Mark and everyone else, this is a wonderful idea, and we've mentioned it before. I know that many of you are full of interesting stories about your life, about your arrival here, about the process that you went through adapting to living in Mexico. And we are always eager to hear these stories. It is the challenge for me is not so much doing the interviews, whether they are in person or bringing a guest live into the broadcast. The bigger challenge is to get to the stories themselves. I have a certain people that I'm close to in the city. You can probably put A and B together and realize that it would be very easy for me to interview people like Michael Beaufort. We've mentioned that, or people like uh, um, Kathleen and Todd from Licks. These are people that are in my circle, and but I would not want to be perceived as, well, Paco's world revolves around his buddies and he's not really interested in the community at large. I am, and we are, and we should be. And what I'm trying to say to you is, if you think you have something interesting about your life, or funny, or useful, that we can relate to, or that we can learn from, by all means, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you through our contact page. We want to hear your suggestions on people that we could be reaching out, because that's what we try to do. Share stories that we can learn from. Do we want to hear stories about someone who had a horrible experience, and because it's not for everyone. Sometimes people have negative experiences, but the question to me always goes back to, okay, what you're sharing, how is that going to improve the lives of other people? Occasionally I see people ranting here at Coffee and Headlines, and I wonder, okay, thank you for sharing. I'm sure you got a load off your chest, but how does that improve the quality of our lives? And that is our quest. So if you know of anybody that wants to be interviewed or wants to come on board and tell a story, I'd love to hear about that. Two more quick announcements. One is happy news. Oh, and we're not walking today. I'm sorry. It's been a hectic time of year, but we will walk before Saturday, I think. I promise. I promise. I think I promise. I promise. I think. Good news for anybody interested in tomorrow night's concert. It's good to know that it will be available live stream for those people that are not here in Puerto Vallarta, or whose comfort level doesn't include presently going to a theater, although I understand that all kinds of measures have been taken to provide a safe and healthy environment at the theater, at Teatro Vallarta. But I will leave you with the link in the show notes on how you can watch the concert online. That would be tomorrow night's concert. How exciting! It's almost here. And last but not least, because we can all benefit from stuff like this, or at least I wish to think so, from the Huffington Post, we have 22 tiny mental health habits that can improve your life in 2022. That's 22 health habits, maybe almost two per month, or if we pick at least one and stick to it, maybe we can improve our mental and emotional well-being this coming year. I happen to think that it's really important to do that. And if you do too, well, you have the information on the show notes right after the broadcast. And speaking of new habits, as I've mentioned before, I am, with your permission, we are going to pre-record January 1st, and it'll be our New Year's resolution special featuring all those wonderful suggestions you have offered through the past few months on filling the conversation, or filling the sentence of "you're not a local until you've done this or that." So it's going to be a pre-recorded list of great ideas that we can all accomplish or add to our wish list, so that we can become more locals according to your own comments, not necessarily according to mine, although I'm throwing a couple of mine into the list as well. Now, let's rewind and take a quick look at all your comments this morning. As always, I welcome and bless your good mornings. It's so great to get them. Thank you so very much. Ryan, I'm always happy to hear that you're from Chevy Chase, because Chevy Chase was important in my life at some point. Let's see what else. Raymond can't wait for tomorrow night's concert. And it's not my big event, it's the musicians. I'm just there to hold on to a microphone and try to mention things that make sense. But the musicians, it's going to be wonderful. Let's see what else. Da-dee-da-dee-da-da. Uh, 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 uh. Thank you very much, Ryan. Ryan, loved the show yesterday. We got a lot of remarks. I was, it was funny. It was funny. And just like the year before, I've already started making notes of good ideas for Dia de los Inocentes 2022 for the things that we discussed yesterday. We drafted a lot of ideas and we went with the ones that we went with. And I'm glad that you were amused. Let's see what else we have. Ooh, it's cold in Minneapolis. I'm sorry to hear that, Jonathan. Crochet. Pick up crochet. It's a great way to stay warm. Um, Dan asks, does anyone here know other people in Puerto Vallarta that like to do Tai Chi? I do the Yang short form in form 24 or tiger form and would love to find others to do it with. Wow. I know that I've seen listings for Tai Chi here and there. I'll keep my eyes open then. And if anybody else in the cluster happens to know about this, um, please let us know so that we can all do tiger form, I suppose. I don't know much about Tai Chi, but that sounds wonderful. Let's see. Daniel is 3 more days to be here. He's dying to be here, he says in Spanish, and he laughed very much with the translation for MILF. I tell you, if there are any maduritas deliciosas in your life, be kind to them. They're wonderful. Let's see what else. Kathy has 5 days to go. I hope you all travel safely and without incident. Another countdown. Albert is at 6 days. I think those are 6 days. I hope I'm getting that correctly. Let's see what else we have. Yes, I hear you, Suzanne. I totally hear you. Less people. I was telling one of my Uber drivers, if I had 10 pesos for every tourist I see walking down the street without a face mask, and we both laughed. We both laughed. But you know what it is? It's what we've always said, at least as far as here at Coffee and Headlines. We pick the battles we can fight. And if there are situations that we cannot change, we might as well focus our energy on people and situations and circumstances that we can actually modify for the better. Dory tells us about her New Year's plans. I suppose Bill and I are having dinner at Punto Peru with a friend. That sounds wonderful. It was so nice to walk past that restaurant. I'm totally intrigued by it. And here's Suzanne's question: is it rude to tell people to wear a mask? I if they're affecting me, and I'm in a place where they are affecting me. Yes, if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody not wearing a mask, I put my mask on. If when there's nobody walking near me, I drop it down. But if I see people approaching me, I put it on. If I see people just randomly walking towards me, I don't start crusading against them, because ultimately I have the choice to not upset myself with that by simply walking around them. If I'm standing online at Costco and I see somebody so close that they seem to be more interested in smelling my farts, I will definitely turn around, and in the most polite way that I can find, I will turn around and say, get the fuck out of my way. But politely and with a big smile. It's a complicated one, Suzanne, at least for me. But again, I try to defend my mental and emotional sanity before I want to go into a mission. I'll be curious to see what other people think about that. And when I'm having dinner with friends or people that I already know, if I arrive at somebody's home, I will always ask out of politeness, do you mind if I unload the mask? Things like that. It's just part of everyday protocol in my mind. Again, your comments, I'm looking forward to getting to them. So let's see what we have. Yes, Logie, you're absolutely correct. This is the 14th New Year's week that I'm here in Puerto Vallarta working in the hospitality sector. I just have to remind myself that it will all be over in the blink of an eye, and the first week of January always brings a very welcome calmness over the city. I totally hear you. Lynn is avoiding crowds. That makes two of us. Please, the history of cabañuelas. They happen here and in the Ajijic area this time of year. I will gladly research this, Betsy Ann. I just think the name is of the cabañuelas is really interesting because it's a word that doesn't seem to have anything to do with rain. But I'll be happy to look into that. Um, Professor Harper, guapísimo as always. He says it's not rude. However, be ready for people's responses. This is very true. I mean, some people are going to get ugly, and you just don't ever know how ugly people are going to get if you start telling them what they think they should or should not do, which is yet another reason to you know get them out of yesterday I was at the movie theater and they put a girl sitting next to me, uh, and she was texting through the movie. And I thought to myself, eventually she went to sit somewhere else out of her own choice. But had she continued to text, I would not have turned around to say to her, "Hey, could you please stop texting in the middle of the movie?" I would have pushed the button to get the waiter, and I would have said to the waiter, "Can you please assign another chair to this lady that cannot stop texting?" So that way, I don't need to engage directly with the person that is infringing. Um, Let's see. Oh, Kathy is going to make Bailey's Irish cream cheesecake for New Year's. I love it. I love it. Bill doesn't think it's rude to tell people to put on a mask. Fair enough. Um, Dinner at home with four friends. Good for you. Um, Kathy chimes in. I tell Den that we just need to avoid people who aren't wearing masks. That's what I do. As having them yell at me if I ask them to put on a mask could spread more viral particles than just staying away from them. That is a totally sensical approach. Once you get people going and they start like, they're putting out more COVID spit in the air, and we don't need that. Thank you very much for that, Kathy. Let's see. La li la li la la. You're welcome, Margaret. I sent the tickets to Glee. For those of you that don't know, we had our first ever subscribing members only live get together, during which we gave away 2 free tickets to the concert tomorrow night. And then when we talked about it, a couple of, well, not a couple, 4 regular members of the cluster volunteered freebies from their businesses for upcoming members only broadcasts. So it pays to be a subscribing member. We have gifts from Whiskey Kitchen, from Michael Beaufort's restaurants, from Licks, and also from I I oh, Raymond, our favorite baker, also offered some freebies for subscribing members. How wonderful is that? Um, I have a friend in Uber car, and the driver wasn't wearing a mask. She asked him to please put on his mask. She later found out he reported her to Uber for her not wearing a mask. Uber has sent her a note. She must take a picture of herself with a mask on. That was his way to retaliate. Oh, Dana, it's that is unfortunate, but if if I don't know. I mean, I would not have even gotten on the Uber if he was not wearing a mask, and if the Uber had chosen not to wear a mask, I would have asked to be left up in the next corner. If on top of that the Uber would have retaliated, well, there are some very unhappy people, roaming through the planet, and there's only so much we can do to control them. I don't know if more drugs or more sex can help those people, but I hope those are exceptional situations. Let's see. Oh, that's unfortunate, Barbara. Well, again, there's only so much unhappiness and bad vibes one is willing to take. I tend to avoid those as much as possible. Is there still seats available for one night only? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Rita is happy. Rita, thank you so much for that very thoughtful personal note you sent me yesterday. So personal that I'm going to tell everyone about it. Rita sent me a nice note saying that they've decided not to attend the concert, which I understand. And Amy and all the organizers are very much aware that this is a time of flux. And ultimately, I know from having a conversation with Amy that they just want the situation to be ideal for as many people as possible. And again, the concert organizers are doing everything in their power to make sure that it is a safe night for everybody. Um, Let's see. Heather, you are absolutely right. Frustration in everybody's mindset has become a major factor. Does that become an excuse for people to behave badly when they do? No, but unfortunately, it's a reality that we have to deal with, as much or as little as we choose to. Um, I'm still looking for Michael Bufort's Pancake House from last year's show. Oh, well, we never know if he may surprise us this year. Paco, what are you wearing for the gala event? That is going to be a surprise. Uh, no, I can tell you because it doesn't have to, it's not about me. I'm wearing light khaki linen pants, white uh, uh, linen long sleeve embroidered shirt, and a little something that I crocheted to go on top of that ensemble that I may not even wear if it's really hot and humid out there because linen is warm and I don't like warm on my body when I get nervous because then I start schwitzing. There you go. Enrique is on his way to the Mexican consulate to apply for his Mexican passport. Mucha suerte, Enrique. I hope it goes well. Let's see. Puri pa 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 pa. Mm, 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 mm. There's another question. Did you end up going shopping with the boys for an outfit for the show? No, because I would have felt very self-conscious and uncomfortable, Lisa. Shopping for me is a horrible reminder that I'm overweight, and I would never endure that kind of discomfort on anyone. So, I went shopping by myself. I went to Liverpool, and it was really funny because um, it took me longer to hail an Uber and get to the shopping center than it took me to pick the outfit, pay for it, and walk out. So it got done. It was wonderful. Oh, Rita thinks I'm wearing. Rita, don't talk about the stilettos. No, 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 no. Those are part of the surprise. No, I'm just kidding. Anyhow, here's another question. Is there a different Mexican word for a Karen? The answer is yes and no. No, because we don't have a particular first name that we're going to use to traumatize people. Because, I mean, I don't think it's fair that lovely people out there in the world uh, that are named Karen should be stigmatized. But we do have an expression for people that are abusive of their surroundings, and we call them lords or ladies. And we usually run into lords or ladies online when and they get like names like for example, if a lady decides to get well, okay, if a guy, it's not about ladies because there are lords out there. If a guy decides to throw a scene at the local tortilla making shop because of whatever reason, then he becomes Lord Tortilla. And if a woman decides to park her car on a curb in front of someone's house because she can, and the owner gets out and complains, and the scene turns into an ugly scene, then, she may become Lady Parking or Lady Vehicle or something like that. That's the way we do it. Um, we would not do that with a proper name. But so, yes, we do have lords and ladies, and we have brought lords and ladies into our broadcasting, to our headlines occasionally, not so much because we think it's wonderful to be shaming people out there, but because it is an essential part of Mexican culture. And I will take one more that says, it's funny when I switch from English to Spanish to Yiddish. Ay, Veismir, what can I tell you? It's part of my upbringing, and it's part of being a partner for almost 10 years with a wonderful Jewish man who taught me so much about culture, about Jewish culture, and I will forever be grateful for that. This brings us to the end of Coffee and Headlines. I hope you had a good one. It is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. Oh my God, tomorrow is the big night. So hopefully you will be at the concert, and if not, hopefully you'll be able to stream it. And I will be a mess, but I will be so very happy to contribute with a little bit of whatever I can contribute to make the night memorable for my dear musician friends. Stay happy, stay kind, and stay in touch, and stay at home. It doesn't hurt us to not enjoy our city for 1 week out of 52 for the benefit of those people that are here on vacation. And let us hope that they continue to behave as best as they possibly can. Have a good day, and I'll see you again soon.